Amid his routine yard work, Jerry stumbled upon a bizarre, colourful snake near his shed. Unease washed over him as he observed its unusual pattern and movement. This wasn't the typical garden snake he was used to seeing. He immediately called the local ranger for identification, hoping for a quick resolution. The ranger's reaction, however, left Jerry speechless. This can't be true. With his curiosity piqued, Jerry reached for his phone to photograph the puzzling snake. Snapping multiple pictures from various angles, he captured the snake's unique colours and markings. Jerry then retreated to his house, eager to search online for any information regarding the strange species. The urgency to solve this enigma grew with each passing moment, propelling him toward his computer. But the search only raised more questions. Jerry's online search became an exercise in frustration. Page after page, he scoured websites dedicated to reptiles, only to come up empty-handed. None of the snakes he encountered resembled the one in his yard. Each search query brought him deeper into an abyss of uncertainty. This unfamiliar snake defied identification, leaving Jerry both puzzled and concerned. Something about this situation felt off, but he couldn't quite pinpoint why. Realizing he needed expert eyes on the matter, Jerry decided to call his longtime friend, Bob, a local wildlife photographer. Dialing Bob's number with urgency, Jerry explained the day's unexpected discovery. "You won't believe what I found today, Bob. I need your help with something strange in my yard." Bob agreed to come over immediately, his curiosity equally piqued by Jerry's unusual find. When Bob arrived, camera in hand, he was immediately drawn to the snake. Squatting down to get a closer look, he snapped multiple pictures, his seasoned fingers quickly adjusting the camera settings. "I've never seen anything like this before," Bob admitted, scratching his head. "It's definitely not something you find around here." Jerry felt a mix of relief and concern. At least he wasn't overreacting. As Bob and Jerry stood pondering the snake, a thought crossed their minds simultaneously. Could it be a newly discovered species? Jerry wondered aloud. Bob nodded, considering the possibility. "It's not out of the question. With how the world's changing, who knows what's out there?" The two men stood in contemplative silence, the snake's presence more perplexing by the minute. Their speculations only deepened the mystery. Word spread through the neighbourhood faster than a wildfire. As they awaited the ranger's arrival, neighbours began to gather, each more curious than the last. Some whispered theories about the snake's origins, while others shot anxious glances at Jerry's yard. Children pointed excitedly, tugging at their parents' sleeves. The buzz of conversation grew louder, and Jerry soon found himself at the centre of an impromptu community event. The gathered crowd split into factions of speculation. One group argued that the snake must be venomous, a threat to their otherwise peaceful neighbourhood. Another group maintained it was likely an exotic pet, either escaped or released. "It's too colourful to be anything local," one man asserted. The neighbourhood's curiosity mingled with a hint of fear, everyone eager for answers but apprehensive of what those answers might entail. Jerry's wife, Carla, emerged from their home, her face etched with concern. She approached her husband, lowering her voice. "We should be extra cautious, Jerry. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Her words echoed the sentiments swimming in Jerry's mind. He nodded, appreciating her pragmatism. The growing crowd didn't ease her worries, but she remained resolute, urging her family to keep a safe distance until more information was available. Drawn by curiosity and the buzz of rumours, more neighbours arrived at Jerry's yard. What started as a solitary discovery had now become a full-blown neighbourhood gathering. Conversations and theories were exchanged like wildfire. Kids were urged by parents to stay back, their eyes wide with both excitement and fear. Jerry tried to maintain control over the situation, reassuring the crowd and ensuring everyone kept a respectful distance from the snake. A few concerned parents decided it was best to take their children indoors. They whispered among themselves, wondering if there was more to worry about. "What if there's another one?" a mother asked, glancing nervously at the snake. Jerry overheard snippets of their conversation and felt the weight of their anxiety. He wanted to reassure them, but realized he didn't have the answers they sought either. Jerry did his best to keep the situation under control. "Everyone, please keep back," he urged, his voice steady. He knew the ranger would arrive soon and hoped for some clarity. "It's probably just a rare species," Jerry said, trying to sound confident. The crowd murmured in agreement, but the uncertainty lingered. He glanced at Carla, who nodded supportively, sharing a moment of silent encouragement. When the ranger, Ross, finally arrived, he was taken aback by the growing crowd. Stepping out of his truck, he adjusted his hat and surveyed the scene. "What's going on here?" Ross asked as he approached Jerry. Jerry pointed toward the snake, and Ross's expression changed to one of focus. "I've never seen a gathering around a snake like this before," he remarked, shaking his head slightly. Ross didn't waste any time. He walked over to the snake, crouching down to get a better look. He snapped multiple photographs and noted its unique markings and colors. Using a measuring tape, he carefully recorded its length and girth. "This is strange," Ross muttered under his breath. He took out a small notebook and jotted down observations. The focused look on his face hinted at rising concern. As Ross continued his examination, his face grew more serious. He traced his finger along certain markings on the snake and watched its behaviors intently. "These patterns," he murmured, "they don't match anything I've seen in this region." He glanced back at Jerry and the crowd, his eyes narrowing. The air seemed to thicken with tension as everyone awaited Ross's conclusions, each second feeling like an eternity. Ross stood up and took a step back, pulling out his phone. "I need to make a call," he said, his tone no longer casual. He dialed a number and walked a few paces away for some privacy. "Hey, it's Ross. I've got something here I need your eyes on," he spoke urgently into the phone. Jerry and the crowd exchanged anxious glances, wondering what Ross had discovered. After the call, Ross returned with a concerned look on his face. He approached Jerry and the expectant crowd, his expression grave. "I spoke to a colleague who specializes in herpetology," he began. "Based on my observations and the photos, we might be dealing with something more dangerous than we initially thought." The crowd gasped, and Jerry felt a chill run down his spine. This was not what he had hoped to hear. Ross took a deep breath and informed Jerry of the potential danger. "From the markings and behavior I've observed, this snake might be venomous and more dangerous than we thought," he said. Concerned murmurs rippled through the crowd. "That's why I've called in a specialist," Ross added. Jerry felt a mix of dread and responsibility. He had to keep everyone safe until they knew more. Ross and Jerry worked together to set up temporary barriers around the snake. They used whatever they could find: ropes, planks, and a few makeshift stakes. "Everyone, please stay behind the barriers," Ross instructed firmly. The crowd moved back, respecting the boundaries. Jerry could see the unease in Ross's eyes, which only heightened his own worries. The barriers were a reminder of the unknown risk lurking in their midst. Ross addressed the crowd again, his tone cautious but authoritative. "Until the specialist arrives, it's crucial to keep a safe distance," he said. The crowd nodded, maintaining their newfound respect for the barriers. Jerry appreciated Ross's direct approach and took it as a cue to enforce the same. Glancing around, he noticed Carla watching over Tim, making sure their son stayed clear of the potential threat. Seeing Ross's clear unease, Jerry couldn't let it go. "Ross, you know something," Jerry said firmly. Ross hesitated, not meeting Jerry's eyes. "Out with it, man. We need to know what we're dealing with." The tension in the air was palpable. The crowd leaned in, sensing the gravity of Jerry's demand. Ross sighed deeply, casting a wary glance at the enwrapped crowd, knowing he couldn't keep quiet. Reluctantly, Ross stepped closer to Jerry. "This snake might be connected to illegal animal trafficking," he said quietly. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Heads turned, whispers grew louder. Jerry's eyes widened in shock. "Illegal trafficking? Are you serious?" Ross nodded gravely. I've seen similar cases before. Unusual species often mean smuggling. Jerry could feel the weight of the words sink in, deepening the mystery and fear. Ross's revelation hit the crowd hard. An elderly woman clutched her chest. "What if there's more of them?" someone murmured anxiously. Kids clung to their parents, eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination. "This is turning into quite the mystery," one neighbour said, scratching his head. Intrigue and anxiety crackled through the crowd, everyone hanging on Jerry's reaction. They hoped he had a plan for their newfound danger. Jerry took a deep breath and pulled out his phone. "We need to call in the authorities," he announced. Ross nodded in agreement. Carla looked relieved as Jerry began dialing the local police station. "This is Jerry. We need officers here immediately," he said, giving their address. The crowd murmured in approval. Moments later, the sound of sirens could be heard in the distance, offering a small measure of assurance. When the authorities arrived, they began canvassing the neighbourhood for any signs of unusual wildlife. Officers questioned neighbours, examining yards and checking sheds. Their presence added a sense of urgency to the situation. "Keep an eye out for anything strange," one officer advised. As they spread out, the community watched with bated breath, every rustle of leaves or distant sound causing heads to turn. A collective intensity gripped everyone. While inspecting the area, an officer called out, "Over here!" Everyone rushed towards him. They found an abandoned barn tucked behind overgrown bushes. The officer pointed at the ground. "Recent activity," he noted, showing tracks and disturbed dirt. The crowd buzzed with curiosity and concern. "What could be inside?" someone wondered aloud. The authorities cautiously approached the barn, their flashlights cutting through the dim interior, revealing signs of recent use. The barn's interiors hinted at something much darker. Crates, some damaged and others sealed tight, lay scattered about. "This isn't just an abandoned barn," an officer remarked. Ross nodded, eyeing the crates. "It's likely used for smuggling exotic animals." The crowd exchanged alarmed glances. "So this might not be the only snake," a worried neighbour said. The barn's eerie silence seemed to confirm their worst fears. A deeper investigation was needed. Investigators fanned out again, questioning neighbours about any recent suspicious activities. "Has anyone seen strange vehicles?" an officer asked. An elderly man nodded. "Saw a van late at night. Didn't think much of it then." Notes were taken, theories quickly forming. Jerry's mind raced with possibilities. "Could they have left more animals around?" he muttered. The officers continued their inquiries, piecing together fragments of information that painted a disturbing picture. Jerry had an idea. "I've got security cameras," he offered. The investigators quickly followed him inside. Sitting by his computer, Jerry pulled up the footage from the last few days. They watched intently, fast-forwarding through hours of mundane activity. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared, moving cautiously near the barn. "There! Pause it!" an officer directed. They zoomed in, identifying a plain van and a person unloading crates. The plot thickened. With the security footage providing leads, the investigation uncovered more clues. Discarded crates bearing foreign labels were found near the barn. "These labels, they point to international origins," an officer observed. The foreign markings hinted at a larger operation than originally thought. The crowd outside murmured in astonishment as officers relayed findings. Whispers of an international smuggling ring began circulating, adding layers of complexity to the unfolding mystery. The local university's biology department sent a team to investigate the snake. The arrival of the biologists added an air of scientific intrigue to the scene. Clad in lab coats, they carefully unpacked their equipment. Microscope slides, DNA testing kits, and behavioural analysis tools were laid out on portable tables. Jerry and the crowd watched in anticipation as the experts started their meticulous examination. Their presence signalled a deeper dive into unlocking the mystery. Biologists immediately began with a series of DNA tests and behavioural studies. They carefully took samples from the snake, ensuring the process was non-invasive. Each biologist focused on different aspects, some observing its movements, while others analysed the samples under a microscope. "We're noting traits from multiple snake species," one biologist remarked. The combination of features puzzled the team, heightening the sense of mystery. Everyone waited for the results with bated breath. As the DNA results started coming in, the picture grew murkier. "This snake is unlike anything we've seen," another biologist stated. Their findings hinted that the snake was a hybrid, combining traits from various species. This unprecedented revelation only raised more questions about its origin. Jerry exchanged anxious glances with Ross and Carla. The biologist's bafflement suggested that solving this puzzle might be trickier than anticipated, intensifying the community's suspense. Gathering their notes, the biologists huddled for a discussion. "What if this is the result of unauthorized genetic experiments?" one suggested, breaking the focused silence. The idea hung in the air, heavy with implication. Jerry felt a knot tighten in his stomach. More murmurs rippled through the crowd as whispers about genetic engineering circulated. "Could someone in the area be conducting illegal experiments?" Ross wondered aloud, amplifying the community's unease. The lead biologist approached Jerry with a stern expression. "You and your neighbours need to be cautious," he warned. "Until we fully understand what we're dealing with, treat this snake as potentially dangerous." The cautionary words sent a chill through the crowd. Carla drew Tim closer, a protective instinct kicking in. The neighbourhood's sense of ordinary life began to fracture as the possibility of lurking unseen dangers became real. As each day passed, the mystery seemed to deepen further. Every new discovery led to more questions than answers. Neighbours gathered each evening, sharing updates and speculations. The buzz of curiosity mixed with underlying anxiety became the new normal in Jerry's neighbourhood. "What else are we going to find?" a neighbour wondered aloud. The biologists, meanwhile, remained tight-lipped, keeping their focus on analysing the snake and piecing together its origins. In the midst of the ongoing investigation, Jerry's son, Tim, decided to explore their attic. Amidst the dusty boxes, he found old documents that hinted at mysterious deliveries made to their property years ago. Tim's heart raced as he deciphered the cryptic notes and receipts. He rushed downstairs, clutching the papers. "Dad, you need to see this!" Tim shouted, interrupting Jerry's conversation with Ross. The discovery hinted at dark secrets hidden in their home. Examining the documents, Jerry's worries grew. "These suggest the previous owners were into something illegal," he muttered, showing the papers to Ross. Notes about unusual deliveries and payments raised more alarms. "Could this property have been part of a smuggling route?" Ross pondered, scrutinizing the dates and details. The possibility that their home had a shady past added another twist to the unfolding mystery. The weight of history felt heavier than ever. Without hesitation, Jerry contacted the authorities with the newfound evidence. "We found documents that might relate to illegal activities by former homeowners," he explained. Officers listened with growing interest, requesting copies of the papers. "We'll need to analyse these further," one officer said, taking the documents. Ross nodded in approval, knowing this clue could be pivotal. The neighbourhood watched as Jerry handed over crucial evidence to the puzzled investigators. To shed light on the age-old documents, the authorities decided to enlist the help of local historians. "We'll need experts to decipher these," an officer explained, holding the worn papers carefully. Jerry nodded, agreeing to coordinate with the historians. "Every clue counts at this point," he stated. By involving historians, they aimed to uncover additional layers of the property's past, hoping to connect the dots that might reveal the truth behind the snake's origins. The evidence further supports suspicions of the house being part of a smuggling route. Investigators, armed with Tim's documents, began connecting the dots. "These papers are crucial," one officer remarked, scanning the dates and details. Each note and receipt seemed to hint at illegal activity, revolving around hidden deliveries. Jerry felt a sense of unease, realizing his home had dark secrets. "We need to get to the bottom of this," he urged. The authorities intensified their search for the culprits. Officers expanded their investigation, scrutinizing every corner of Jerry's property. "We'll search every inch," one investigator stated. They reached out to neighboring towns, sharing details of the mysterious documents. Jerry, feeling the mounting pressure, assisted wherever possible. "We have to find who's behind this," Carla whispered to Jerry, her protective instincts flaring. The community rallied, each person eager to unveil the hidden truths. Tim's discovery leads to deeper digging in their backyard, where they find hidden compartments containing unusual artifacts. "Dad, look at this!" Tim exclaimed, revealing a concealed wooden box. Carefully opening it, they found old, peculiar artifacts that hinted at past smuggling activities. The items appeared to be of foreign origin, raising more questions. "We need to show these to the authorities," Jerry said, his voice filled with determination. Each artifact added another piece to their growing puzzle. These artifacts were sent to experts for analysis. "We have to understand their origins," an officer noted as they carefully packed the items. At the university lab, scientists eagerly awaited their arrival. "This could shed light on the smuggling network," one scientist stated. While waiting for the results, Jerry and Carla discussed their next steps. "We're in deeper than we thought," Carla remarked. The urgency to decipher the artifacts grew, each day adding to their anticipation. The artifacts pointed to connections with a larger network of wildlife smugglers. "These items have links to known smuggling routes," a senior investigator revealed. The discovery suggested an organized operation, potentially spanning multiple locations. "This isn't just a local problem," Ross commented, shaking his head. The authorities shared their findings with federal agencies, seeking wider cooperation. The realization of a larger network cast a shadow over the community, deepening their resolve to find the culprits. The authorities issued warnings to alert local residents about potential dangers. "Everyone needs to stay vigilant," Jerry announced during a neighborhood meeting. Officers distributed flyers with information about the illegal activities, urging caution. Parents held their children closer. Neighbors exchanged wary glances, and a sense of community unity began to form. "This affects all of us," one neighbor declared, echoing the collective concern. The warning served as a wake-up call to a potentially larger threat. Media attention grew, drawing reporters and curious onlookers to Jerry's property. News vans lined the street, journalists set up cameras while reporters sought interviews. "This quiet neighborhood turned into a hotbed of activity," one reporter described live. Jerry found himself thrust into the spotlight, giving statements to the press. "We're just trying to understand what's happening," he told them. The influx of media added another layer of tension, everyone eager yet anxious for updates. Meanwhile, tensions rose within the community as old secrets came to light. Neighbors whispered among themselves, speculating about each other's involvement. "Could anyone else be hiding something?" one person questioned. The sense of unity began to fray as suspicion spread. Jerry tried to maintain peace, organizing a community meeting. "We need to stick together," he emphasized. Despite his efforts, the stress of the ongoing investigation left everyone on edge, testing the strength of their bonds. Further investigation by the authorities and biologists started to uncover a complex web of illegal activities spanning several states. "We're dealing with a multi-state operation," an investigator revealed. Biologists examining the snake noted similarities in other wildlife seizures across the country. "This isn't an isolated incident," one scientist confirmed. The interconnection of clues painted a broader picture, hinting at a sophisticated smuggling network. Each finding pushed the investigation to new depths, revealing the alarming scale of the operation. They cross-checked data from other recent wildlife seizures, piecing together a larger picture. "We've identified patterns," an officer explained, pointing to a map dotted with seizure locations. The data linked Jerry's discovery with multiple smuggling routes. "It's all connected," Ross remarked, his brow furrowed. Jerry watched as authorities coordinated efforts across various states. "We're closing in on them," an investigator assured. The realization of a nationwide network raised the stakes, heightening the urgency to dismantle the operation. Information from the documents and artifacts began to shed light on potential ringleaders. Investigators sifted through the cryptic notes, matching names and locations to known criminals. "These names keep popping up," one officer remarked. The data hinted at a sophisticated network involving more than local players. Every clue reinforced the sense of urgency to act. Jerry, Carla, and Tim watched as the scope of the operation's leadership started to come into focus. In response to the mounting evidence, authorities began planning a coordinated raid. "We need to move quickly," an officer declared during a strategy meeting. Maps of suspected locations were laid out on the table, dotted with pins. "Simultaneous raids will increase our chances of capturing everyone involved," an investigator explained. Jerry felt a surge of hope mixed with anxiety. The plan took shape, aiming to dismantle the smuggling network with precision and speed. Jerry and his family received temporary protection due to their involvement in the case. Officers set up surveillance around their home, ensuring the family's safety. "We can't take any chances," an officer stated, installing security cameras. Jerry felt a mix of relief and discomfort. "I never imagined our lives would turn into this," Carla whispered. The protection offered some peace of mind, but the looming threat of the raid kept everyone on edge. The neighborhood watched in anticipation as the day of the raid approached. Conversations buzzed with speculations and hopes for a resolution. "Do you think they'll catch them all?" a neighbor asked Jerry. He nodded, trying to convey confidence. Residents kept a wary eye on the comings and goings around Jerry's home. Children's play felt more subdued, and the usual hustle and bustle took on a tense undertone. The weight of expectation hung heavy in the air. The day of the raid arrived, uncovering an extensive operation hiding in plain sight. Officers moved swiftly, coordinating across multiple locations. "We've got them," came a triumphant call over the radio. Houses, barns, and storage units yielded numerous cages, crates, and documents. The neighborhood watched in awe and trepidation as the scale of the smuggling network became clear. "It's unbelievable," Jerry murmured, realizing the true extent of the hidden criminal activity. Several high-profile arrests were made, revealing the scope of the smuggling network. "These are some big names," an officer noted, handcuffing key suspects. News spread quickly through the neighborhood. Reporters captured footage of authorities leading the arrested individuals away. "I can't believe this was all happening so close to home," Carla said, shaking her head. The neighborhood's relief was palpable, but the revelation of the network's reach kept everyone on alert. The hybrid snake was confirmed to be one of many experimental species intended for illegal sale. "This isn't just any smuggling operation," a biologist explained, holding up a report. The snake's genetic analysis revealed a mix of venomous and non-venomous traits, designed to create a valuable, rare specimen. Jerry's initial discovery now seemed even more significant. "We've been a part of something much bigger than we realized," he commented to Ross. Authorities commended Jerry and his family for their crucial role in solving the case. "Your vigilance has made a huge difference," an officer praised during a small gathering. Neighbors also expressed their gratitude, thanking Jerry and his family. "We couldn't have done this without you," Ross said, clasping Jerry's shoulder. The acknowledgement brought some emotional relief. Carla smiled, grateful for a sense of closure. Their actions had turned the tide in the fight against wildlife crime. Media coverage highlighted the bravery of ordinary citizens in combating wildlife crime. Reporters featured Jerry's story prominently, narrating the journey from mystery to resolution. "This family's quick thinking has been pivotal," one news anchor stated. Interviews with Jerry aired on local news channels, applauding his actions. Carla and Tim watched, proud yet humbled. "It's surreal," Carla mentioned, reflecting on their unexpected role. The coverage brought nationwide attention, showcasing the impact of community involvement. The community began to recover from the shock of recent events. "Things are starting to feel normal again," a neighbour remarked during a casual chat. The unity forged in crisis helped mend the frayed bonds among residents. Jerry noticed more smiles and friendly waves as he walked through the neighbourhood. "We'll be stronger after this," he told Carla. Their yard, once a symbol of mystery, now stood as a testament to the power of vigilance and community strength. As peace returns to Jerry's neighbourhood, the biologists finally released their report. Gathered in the living room, Jerry, Carla and Tim listened intently as the lead biologist explained the findings. The details were surprising. The biologist handed Jerry a folder saying, "This should give you closure." The room was quiet, everyone waiting to hear just what secrets the snake held. The tension was palpable, but so was the relief. The DNA analysis was conclusive. The snake was a genetically modified hybrid. The biologist explained, "It combines traits of venomous and non-venomous species, creating a unique organism." Jerry exchanged glances with Carla and Tim, digesting this information. Tim was the first to break the silence. "So it's not natural?" The biologist nodded. "That's correct. This snake was engineered, likely for very specific and illegal purposes." The gravity of the findings settled over the room. According to the final report, these genetic modifications aimed to create a highly valuable specimen for illegal trade. "This snake could command a huge price on the black market," the biologist noted. "Its unique traits make it extremely rare." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Jerry could hardly believe that such elaborate schemes had taken root in his own backyard. "Unbelievable," Carla murmured, shaking her head in disbelief. The hybrid nature of the snake explained Ross's astonishment and urgent precautions. "When I first saw it," Ross admitted, "I couldn't believe my eyes. It was unlike anything I'd encountered." The biologist nodded in agreement. Its genetic makeup is as rare as it gets. This revelation validated Ross's initial concerns and the extreme caution he advocated. For Jerry and his family, it also confirmed the gravity of the entire situation. The case served as a stern reminder of the hidden dangers lurking within illegal wildlife trafficking. "We must remain vigilant," the biologist warned. "Such activities risk not only wildlife, but entire ecosystems." Jerry felt both a sense of responsibility and a newfound awareness of the world's darker corners. "We can't afford to be complacent," he stated firmly, echoing the biologist's cautionary advice. The entire community had learned a valuable, albeit unsettling lesson. Jerry's yard, once a mystery, now becomes a symbol of vigilance and community strength. "This place will always remind us to stay alert," Jerry remarked as he cleaned up the yard. The neighbours expressed similar sentiments, appreciating the collective efforts that finally led to solving the mystery. The yard, now free of the tension that had once gripped it, stood as a testament to the power of community and caution. The neighbourhood returned to normal, albeit with a newfound sense of awareness and caution. Kids played freely again, parents chatted casually, and life moved forward. "We've learned a lot through this ordeal," one neighbour commented during a barbecue. The sense of vigilance remained, but so did the strong bonds that had formed during the crisis. Everyone felt more connected, more prepared for whatever life might throw at them next. Jerry and his family participated in community talks about wildlife preservation and safety. "It's crucial we educate ourselves," Jerry emphasized at one such meeting. They distributed flyers, shared their experience, and answered questions. Tim even showed the attendees his attic finds, adding a personal touch to the discussion. The talks continued for weeks, fostering a sense of unity. "Knowledge is our best weapon," Carla said, highlighting the importance of staying informed. The community recognized the importance of staying vigilant and informed. "We're our own first line of defense," Ross stated during a neighborhood watch meeting. Everyone nodded in agreement, committed to keeping an eye out for anything unusual. "If something seems off, report it," Jerry added. The events had left a lasting impression, instilling a collective sense of responsibility. The neighbourhood now stood stronger, more united, ready to face any future challenges. Jerry reflected on how an ordinary day turned extraordinary, forever changing his community. Who would have thought a snake could unravel so much? He mused aloud. Carla and Tim joined him, sharing a quiet moment of reflection. It's a reminder that you never know what's lurking in the shadows, Carla said. The experience had been intense, but it had also brought their family and community closer. Ordinary lives had risen to extraordinary challenges.